friends have been decoyed into driving onto a set of railroad tracks.
Now let's see, this detour on Texas by way of Mont Chalk and Telemuncor.
It's sure a smooth road for a detour, Waldo.
What is that?
Just a grade crossing. The grade crossing?
Yikes, we're on the right line.
Quick, turn the wheel, Eustace!
I can't, Waldo. We fit too tight.
Gee, what do we do if a train comes along?
We better decide in a hurry, Chet. Here comes one now.
Well, in our last episode, we finally met the lost Duchess of Dashed Hall. She was indeed 12 feet tall, 120 years old, and surrounded by a solid gold frame. For the lost Duchess was really an enormous full-length oil painting worth a fortune.
And right now, she's in possession of Lord Juice Louis and his band of cutthroats.
That's us.
That was Juice Louis and his band of cutthroats. I heard the man. But perhaps the audience didn't.
Well, let's get after them.
The charge!
Hey, Louie, what's the idea driving right by those guys? Now they're chasing us.
Correct. They're chasing us right into a trap.
What kind of trap, boss?
Observe closely. Oh, frip-frap, a detour.
Well, we can't stop now. Drive on, Stanislaus.
My name is... Well, Ducks.
Yeah, we'll see you later, fellas.
Oh, I'm a frank nut, Maxie.
How come?
Take a gecko at that.
Oh, horror. Our friends have been decoyed into driving onto a set of railroad tracks.
Now let's see, this detour on Texas by way of Mont Chalk and Telemuncor.
It's sure a smooth road for a detour, Waldo.
What is that?
Just a grade crossing. The grade crossing?
Yikes, we're on the railroad track.
Quick, turn the wheel, Eustace!
I can't, Waldo. We fit too tight.
Gee, what do we do if a train comes along?
We better decide in a hurry, Chet. Here comes one now. Strap on it, Bunthorn.
The name is Fillmore.
It's gonna be mud if you don't beat that train. Go!
And Fillmore pushed the gas pedal to the floorboard. Slowly, the truck pulled ahead of the speeding train.
Now, there's something you don't see every day, Chauncey.
What's that, Edgar?
A truck on a railroad track being chased by a train.
Oh, I don't know, Edgar. Happens all the time on the Bullwinkle show.
True.
We're winning, Uncle Waldo. We're pulling ahead of the train.
But just then...
Oh, what is it, Fillmore?
I don't know, Professor.
I don't look. We're running out of gas.
And the train's gaining on us.
Well, there's only one thing to do. I'm going to jump for it.
And leave us to our fate? What kind of a hero are you?
A smart one. You see that switch up ahead there?
Yeah?
I'm going to jump for it.
What have you missed?
You'll just have to change the name of this program to the Waldo Wigglesworth Show.
Good luck, Hoppity.
The Waldo Wigglesworth Show.
Hoppity climbed out onto the running board, crouched, judged the distance, and at precisely the right instant... Yes, the train was switched onto another track and roared out of sight, while Waldo's truck coasted safely to a stop.
Everybody okay?
Hoppity, my lad! You saved our lives! You're a hero! Give him a fanfare, Beauregard!
Shucks, it was nothing.
Only one thing that puzzles me, though.
What's that?
I wonder where that train is going to wind up. I'll tell you where. Right in the middle of another program entirely.
Well, all's well as well, I guess.
What do you mean, end? You haven't found the lost Duchess yet.
Gee, I almost forgot.
And here's your chance, gentlemen, for here she comes now.
Yes, far down the road, Lime Juice Louis' car was hurtling toward them.
Gee, they'll have to go under that bridge, Uncle Waldo.
Humphrey, are you thinking what I think you're thinking?
I think so.
No, Humphrey, it's too dangerous. I forbid it. I put my foot down. What's that for?
You put your foot down in the wrong place.
Well, what dangerous scheme does our hero have in mind? We'll find out next time in What's Cooking or Hoppity's Plots and Plans.
There was once an old fisherman who, in over 40 years of fishing, never caught a fish. Because of this, he was forced to live with his wife in a miserable little hovel close by the sea. But though they were very, very poor, he was very, very happy. But being so very, very poor made his wife very, very unhappy.
No money, no food, no nothing. Just a kooky husband.
Then, one day, as the fisherman sat mending his nets,
Alas, poor husband, you must surely be addle-headed.
Why do you say that?
Why else would you be so happy when we're so poor?
Yeah, it does seem kind of silly, doesn't it? But you just wait. Someday I'm going to catch a fish, and then things will be different.
the old fisherman didn't know it then, but things were to be very different very soon. For the next day, when he hauled in his net,
Wow, I finally did it. I caught a fish. I caught a fish.
yes, it was a fine big fish, and a most unusual fish to say the least, for it spoke to him.
How do you do? Oh, hello there. You know, you're the very first fish I ever... What'd you say?
I said, how do you do?
Oh, come on. You can't say that.
Why not?
Well, because fish can't talk. That's why.
But I can, and I'm asking you, please, let me go.
The fish pleaded so hard, and the fisherman was so shocked at hearing the fish talk, that he did let him go. Then that evening, when he returned to his hovel,
Catch any fish?
Yeah? Nice big fat one. But I let him go.
Let him go. Why?
He asked me to.
Oh, well, as long as he... What? The fish asked you to let him go.
Yeah.
certain now that her poor husband was more addle-headed than ever, the wife wrapped hot towels around the fisherman's head and gave him a bit of medicine that was guaranteed to clear even the most clouded mind.
Oh, a talking fish indeed.
Look, he did talk to me, and I can prove it.
Early the next morning, the fisherman returned to the spot where he had caught the fish and called out loudly,
Talking fishing in the sea. Please come up and talk to me.
With that, the big fish returned to the surface and said,
You called?
Yeah, my wife thinks I'm addle-headed because I heard you talk. Please come home with me so I can prove you do.
Very well. You did me a favor, so I shall return it. Let's go.
The fisherman quickly took the fish back to his hovel, but his wife was nowhere to be seen. So he put the fish into their bed to keep him warm and set off in search of her. A short time later, the wife, who had been out collecting seashells by the seashore, returned, and seeing what she thought to be her husband in the bed,
Lazy lout, what are you doing in bed? You should be out fishing.
I beg your pardon, madam, but I am not your husband. I am really...
A talking fish.
That is correct, madam.
Eek!
the poor woman's hair stood on end. Then, 2 hours later, when the fisherman finally coaxed his wife down off of the roof,
Now you see, dear, the fish did talk.
Okay, but get him out of here.
but the fish, who, of course, had never been in a soft, warm bed before, liked it so much that he said,
Oh, please don't throw me back into that cold, old ocean. Let me stay.
No, I refuse to have a talking fish in my bed.
Oh, let me stay. I will grant you 3 wishes.
Oh, boy, 3 wishes. Hey, that could make us rich.
The wife was delighted at the prospect of being rich and agreed to let the fish stay. Then they set about the task of making their first wish.
Now, a talking fish is something you don't see every day. So, why don't we wish for a big theater so we can make people pay to hear him?
So be it. Number 1.
The wish was granted, and they suddenly found themselves owners of the largest theater in the village.
Now what?
That's easy.